say whatever speech you got rehearsed. Get this over with.
If you say so, Joel, I'm taking a look at how many people Joel doomed to die, whether that's done by his own hand or through his decisions. The Last of Us Part 1 begins in 2013, the night before the outbreak. After getting a birthday present from his daughter Sarah, he puts her to bed. She wakes up in the middle of the night to chaos, and eventually finds her way into Joel's study, where he comes back inside in a panic. He explains their neighbors aren't right, and she witnesses that firsthand. He forces his way into their home and charges the two of them to become the first kill in what will eventually become a long and violent fight for survival. He rushes Sarah out of the house and into Uncle Tommy's vehicle, where they aim to get far away from the city. During the drive, Tommy wants to pull over and help out a family of 3 walking on the side of the road, but Joel urges him to keep driving. They're never referenced again, so we have no idea if they're killed or find their way to safety. Eventually, as things spiral further out of control, the Millers are T-boned by another vehicle and their cars flipped over. Sarah is unable to walk, which forces Joel to carry her through the streets while Tommy ensures their safety. Tommy splits off to lure the increasing amount of infected away from the other 2, and just when they think they found safety in an armed soldier, he's ordered to gun them down out of uncertainty of their condition. This results in the first of many gut-wrenching scenes throughout the series, and a fundamental change in Joel's psychology. He did his best to keep his daughter alive, but her life ends tragically as society begins to crumble. The game bounces forward 20 years after the outbreak, with Joel living inside the Boston quarantine zone. That's a lot of time to go unaccounted for, and the details we're given are vague. What we do know is that soon after Sarah's death, Joel found himself at a clinic alongside a bunch of other survivors that have experienced just as much trauma as he has. He contemplated ending things there, but decided to continue on with his brother. We know for certain Joel and Tommy committed heinous acts in order to survive. He confirms this by recognizing a tactic performed by the Pittsburgh Hunters later in the game, telling Ellie he's been on both sides of the act. Since there's no confirmation just how many people he may have killed, I can't add anything here. It may be a few, a couple dozen, or into the hundreds, so unless Naughty Dog makes a game focused on Joel and Tommy in the early years, we'll never know for certain. What we do know is that Joel's methods caused a fracture between him and Tommy, with his little brother joining the Fireflies and telling Joel he never wants to see him again. So now as the game gets going, Joel's partner in crime Tess comes back a little roughed up, telling him a man named Robert sent a couple guys after her. They set out to confront him and sneak out of the QZ as the Fireflies distract Fedra. The first human we can kill in game presents a choice. Joel can keep going or use a bullet to end this man's suffering. I can see him going either way here, but at this time in his life, Joel is a careful man, and I believe he'd end this man's life before he has a chance to turn and become a problem within the smuggling tunnel he frequents. They run into 3 runners soon afterwards, and encounter some of Robert's men, who advise them to turn around.
Bitch!
But name calling is a big no-no for Tess, and the man pays with his life. This moment marks the start of a series of kills done loudly and quietly, as both Joel and Tess take Robert's men down in tandem. They locate Robert and chase him down to question him on some weapons he was supposed to supply them. He sold them to the Fireflies instead though, and Tess ends him right there. Luckily for them, a Firefly is right around the corner, and promises to get them their guns if they help her smuggle something out of the city. But first, they need to get her back to her hideout, and Joel takes down 5 more guys along the way. They escort her all the way there, and discover the thing they're smuggling is a human child. They just need to get Ellie to the Capitol building, and the Fireflies will handle it from there. Marlene and Tess leave Joel and Ellie, so Tess can verify the guns are there and Marlene can treat her injuries. Joel takes Ellie to a secluded apartment so they can wait it out until Tess returns. She comes back after dark, and they begin their mission to get Ellie out of the QZ. A Fedra patrol catches them and calls in their location. They start checking them for infection, which makes Ellie prick a prick. This forces Joel and Tess to act quickly, with Joel getting another kill here. This is where they discover Ellie's immunity, but there's not a lot of time to discuss with more Fedra soldiers on the way. They run off and sneak their way past one patrol and encounter another. I fail at sneaking by everyone here, and am forced to gun one officer down. And with the noise leading the others to us, the 3 of them sprint away and eventually get out of the QZ. Once outside, they trek through infested areas, and while some of them can be avoided, Joel is a careful guy, and will cover his tracks here, adding 27 runner and clicker deaths to his kill tally. They finally get to the Capitol building the following day, but the Fireflies that were supposed to be waiting for them are all dead. Tess reveals she's been bitten, and after finding out about Ellie's immunity, she urges Joel to look after the girl and find Tommy, who may know how to find the Fireflies. She stays to fight the incoming Fedra agents, while Joel fights his way towards the exit and into some subway subway tunnels, taking out another 12 soldiers while doing so. They emerge into the sunlight and spend the remainder of the day heading towards the town of Lincoln, Massachusetts, where Joel intends to cash in a favor from a friend. The two of them explore the town and eliminate the 10 infected they come across until Bill himself arrives to help them escape one of his traps. He leads them to safety, but not before Joel bumps those numbers up a bit more. They load up on supplies and Bill points them to a nearby school that should contain a car battery they can use. So they set out towards the school, and using basic math I add up a whopping 51 infected kills by Joel's hands, including the first bloater of the game. They take shelter in an abandoned home that contains the dead body of Bill's partner. And while he's dealing with that loss, Ellie is over there in the garage happy as shit about finding a working truck. It needs a bit of a kickstart though, forcing Bill and Joel to push it while dealing with waves of infected in the streets. With Bill's help, Joel wipes out 8 of them before Ellie successfully starts the truck and dips out of that neighborhood. They drop Bill off further down the road and drive towards Pittsburgh, where they're ambushed by hunters. The Pittsburgh chapter focuses on Joel and Ellie's survival as they traverse the city, avoiding and killing hunters and infected. We witness Joel show Ellie some trust by providing a firearm after she proves herself capable when she saves his ass a couple of times. They also link up with another duo trying to avoid the hunters in Henry and Sam. The majority of the bodies Joel racks up in this chapter are human, with 120 hunters meeting their end at the hands of Joel in angry dad mode. But the Steel City still has plenty of infected to be concerned about, because in the dark, out of reach places like the hotel basement and the sewers, 39 of them push Joel's kill total up even further before they find safety. I didn't include the first hunter Joel rams with his car. The way he rolls off doesn't make me believe he was killed in the act and likely joined in the fight afterwards. After another depressing scene, the game skips forward to Wyoming with Joel reuniting with his estranged brother. We have no idea if Joel and Ellie encountered anyone else along the way, but it's not long until violence breaks out again. Their compound is attacked by raiders, and Joel assists them in defending it by removing 16 of them from existence. But another problem arises when Ellie finds out Joel is trying to pass her off on his brother. She steals a horse and takes off, forcing both Joel and Tommy to track her down and kill off the 11 guys encountered during this side quest. Joel realizes he's being an ass and tells Ellie he'll accompany her until they find the Fireflies. Tommy suggests they check out the University of Eastern Colorado where they had a base set up, but all they find there are infected. There are traces of Firefly activity strewn about the campus, with one recording letting us know they relocated to the other side of the Rocky Mountains in Salt Lake City. But soon after finding that out, they're attacked by an unknown group, which forces Joel into combat dad mode, killing 12 of their attackers. One of them boots a door open, sending Joel stumbling backwards into a rickety guardrail. The two wrestle for a few seconds before the rail gives way, sending Joel down into a piece of rebar and his attacker into the afterlife. Ellie is quick to try and help, but the strangers are a bit faster and require attention before he can be pulled off. He shoots one despite his pain while Ellie successfully takes down the other. She helps him to his feet, but his condition quickly deteriorates, but not fast enough to blast another attacker off this mortal coil. Ellie is able to take on the rest and helps Joel get on the horse, but he's too weak to stay on and tumbles to the ground. For weeks, Joel remains in poor condition as Ellie relocates him to a mall and then a neighborhood in the mountains. She does her best to keep him alive and treat his wound, eventually giving him some penicillin, which does the trick and gets him back on his feet. However, Ellie is nowhere to be found, so Joel grabs his things and sets out in search of her. Not too long after leaving the house, he's attacked on the snowy streets, and he wastes no time getting violent after being out for several weeks. A couple guys try to take him out, but that angry dad energy is over 9,000 and too much to contend with. He subdues the duo and pulls them into a nearby house, ties them up, and questions them about Ellie's whereabouts. He utilizes methods that the CIA would applaud, and kills both men after getting the information he needs. He continues on through the town of Silver Lake, vacating the town of 9 residents. He eventually enters a building and spots Ellie's backpack, but the room right next door reveals a horrible secret. These people are cannibals. Knowing that, he acts a bit more urgently and spots a building on fire just up the road. Inside, he finds Ellie hacking away at David and pulls her off. She's clearly been through a lot, and Joel provides her the comfort she needs in that moment.
Oh, baby girl. It's okay.
We skip forward to springtime with them arriving in Salt Lake City. Luckily, the city isn't overrun by hunters. However, the roads are impassable and require them to go underground where infected are roaming. The tunnel contains 24 more infected for Joel to take out, but the real danger here is the rushing water they need to navigate due to Ellie's inability to swim. The instability of their walkway sends them into the water and into a hectic survival scenario that leads to Ellie nearly drowning. Joel pulls her out of the water and attempts to resuscitate her, and while he does that, he completely ignores the approaching Fireflies. They hate being ignored. bored and show Joel just how much. He wakes up in a hospital with Marlene at his side. His first question is about Ellie, who he's told is alive and well. But not for long, because in order to reverse engineer a vaccine, it needs to be removed from her brain and will certainly kill her. Joel says, nah, fuck that, and goes Super Saiyan on the Fireflies, killing every last one of them between he and Ellie. He starts with the man assigned with escorting him out of the hospital and ends with a doctor set to extract the fungus, which unbeknownst to him will become a major problem down the road. He leaves the two nurses alive, who are too frightened to do anything, and pulls Ellie off the table. He avoids the remaining Fireflies coming after him and makes it to the parking garage where Marlene awaits. She tries persuading Joel to hand her over, but he makes his answer quite clear with a bullet to the abdomen and coldly finishes her off.
You just come after her.
Joel drives Ellie back to Jackson, Wyoming, where they set up residence in the community his brother is building. But Ellie doesn't quite believe Joel's claim that they didn't need her to produce a vaccine. Regardless, he maintains the lie and commits humanity to a constant struggle of life and death amongst the deadly cordyceps infection. And this is where things get crazy, because Joel's decision effectively condemns humanity to this life. It's nearly impossible to calculate an exact figure, but we're sure as shit going to try. We need to figure out just how many people are alive during the time this decision occurs. We can start by using a newspaper clipping found at the University of Colorado. The World Health Organization estimated that 60% of the world's population is dead or infected within the first year. The population of the planet in 2013 was about 7.2 billion people, which means roughly 2.9 billion are left scattered around the world by 2014. Next, we need to ascertain how much more the population shrunk over the course of 20 years. We know that pockets of civilization set up around the country, with many of them collapsing and being taken over by new factions, such as the WLF in Seattle and the Hunters in Pittsburgh. Between starvation, the elements, the ongoing danger of the infected, and the downright cruelty of other human beings, it's not far-fetched that the population would continue to dip drastically. The largest known settlement we're aware of is Seattle, with Abby confirming there are thousands of the WLF in the city, and Lev confirming there are approximately 1,000 Seraphites. There couldn't have been that many more wolves in comparison to the Scars, but certainly enough to make the war between them swing in the wolves' favor. Let's say there are 2,500 members of the WLF, which brings the population of Seattle to around 3,500 people. In 2013, metropolitan Seattle had a population around 3.5 million people. That means for every survivor, 1,000 other people died or got infected. If we use that same logic and blanket that over the entire planet, that means there is a world population of roughly just 7.2 million people left. That's insane to think about, and in my opinion seems low. Humans are quick to adapt, so I'd like to think there would be more of us around. But we're going to roll with that number because even if it's higher, that just means Joel committed that many more people to this way of life. Now obviously not every person will die by the cordyceps, but a cure changes everything for everyone, including how their current fractured society functions. It would bring people together for the first time in over 20 years, and allow them to fight back against the swarms of infected without fear of becoming one of them, eventually bringing those populations down and taking the world back. But alas, Joel effectively reaches Kratos levels of death he's responsible for by selfishly killing the only known person that could generate a cure, so he can spend just a few more years with someone he sees as a daughter. If you're enjoying this video so far, go ahead and hit that like button, and consider subscribing to continue to see content like this. The second game begins with Joel recapping everything with Tommy, who is shocked as fuck to learn about what happened in Salt Lake City.
Jesus Christ, Joel.
They get up and head back to Jackson on horseback, and during the ride, we spot 5 freshly killed runners on the ground. We don't know for certain who killed what here, but Joel isn't going to let his little brother outdo him. He earns 3 more kills, while Tommy gets the other 2, and they arrive back in town with Tommy telling his brother he'll take his secret to his grave. We cut to Joel and Ellie soon after getting to Jackson, with Joel gifting her a guitar and booking his first lesson with her the following day. Over the years, they settle into Jackson. Periodically, Joel and Tommy would go out on patrols around the community to clear out any infected wandering nearby and look out for survivors. This became a regular routine, and the two brothers gained a reputation for being astute in the art of clicker killing. We can't get an exact number since the patrol logs don't specify who killed what and don't always provide an exact number. But if we split the kills in half, that gives Joel another 28 between the infected they cleared over the years and at least one person that was bitten. In one flashback sequence after Tommy teaches Ellie how to use his sniper rifle, Joel and Ellie set out together in search of some new guitar strings. Their path to the music store is blocked, so they go through a hotel that contains several infected. Inside, they take out the infected together, and it ends with a bang when Joel saves Ellie's ass from being turned into a South Park Canadian by a bloater. She questions the events of Salt Lake City here, and Joel's answer isn't enough to satisfy her, because he tracks her down to Utah sometime after that. She finds the truth and cuts Joel off once they get back to Jackson. For a couple years, Joel tried to mend his relationship with Ellie despite her continued animosity towards him. After standing up to a bigot on her behalf, she lashes out, but afterwards met Joel at his house and said she'd like to try to make things better between them.
I like that.
The following day, while on patrol, Joel and Tommy find a survivor being chased and attacked by a horde of infected while a blizzard is slamming the area. Joel kills the runner on top of her and pulls the stranger to her feet, and the three of them quickly get inside. During their frantic fight against the horde, Joel downs another 6 infected as Abby brutalizes the majority of them. She informs them that she has a group set up in a lodge nearby where they can wait out the storm, but when they get there, things quickly turn sour. The niceties wear off as quickly as Joel's knee when Abby takes a shotgun to it and has her friends hold him down while she attempts to make him guess why she's doing this. But he refuses to let her have her moment, knowing damn well what he's about to experience is going to be painful. Abby chooses her weapon of choice and starts swinging. Soon afterwards, Ellie enters the room to find a bloody Joel lying on the ground. The group subdues her, and she watches helplessly as Abby delivers the final blow. And that's where Joel's life ends. Not in a blaze of glory, or helping someone he loves, or peacefully as an old man. He's the villain in someone else's story and is treated as such. Maybe if he shot the doctor in the leg instead of doming him, things would have turned out differently. But regardless, he lived an eventful life that very well may have doomed humanity. He may even be responsible for more deaths than what I counted here, as it doesn't even include people not born yet that may die from the fungus. Regardless, I find Joel responsible for 7,200,464 deaths or would-be deaths due to his actions. Not that far off from a literal god of war, which is bonkers. Thank you for watching. I'm King Deschain, signing off for now.